Hello, everyone. This is Sandra Christensen, and this is the Voice of the People podcast. Today, I want to start with a little bit about the National Day of Prayer. Today is the National Day of Prayer. This year's theme is Tell of His Glory Among the Nations, His Wonderful Deeds Among All Peoples, and that's from 1 Chronicles 16:24. So if you're able, I would love for you to pray for our nation today. And the history of this, a lot of people don't know that Congress established a National Day of Prayer over 70 years ago. And it's been a day of celebration and prayer for this nation and our elected officials. And so I just wanted to start with that little intro because it's very important to pray for our nation and our elected officials. Speaking about elected officials, today on my podcast, my live stream, I'm going to have my friend on, and her name is Heather Rooks. She's not in the studio with me today, but she is going to be on camera with me. And I want to introduce her. She is a warrior. She's a fighter. She's a mama bear like me, and she is a governing board member on the Paradise. I'm on the Paradise Valley School Board. She's on the Peoria School Board. She also, like me, is running for State House Representatives. So I'd like to introduce you all to Heather Rooks.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Sandra, for having me on.
You're welcome. First of all, Heather, before we get into anything, I just want to tell you that you're doing a great job protecting children. I know it's hard, and you've had a very difficult week. And so I just wanted to give you some encouragement that not everybody is negative on this, okay? There's a lot of us for you, and you're doing a great job. And so I just wanted to tell you to give yourself some grace. This is difficult, but you are in the right, okay? And us mama bears support you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, and just tell us your story about what's happened over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so my name's Heather Rooks. I am a mom. Like Sandra said, I have 4 kids, and they attend Peoria Unified School District. I actually grew up in this district, and so did my husband. And I ran for school board in 2022, advocating for my child at the time. He has special needs, had disabilities, and I fought for him to be mask-free in school. That's how I learned about school boards and speaking up, and it kind of gave me I feel like God kind of brought that in my life to be courageous and to not be afraid to speak up for my own child. And I met amazing people along the way. Devin Updegraff Day, she was one of the first ones, along with Michelle Dillard, that fought for my kids' right. And me and Devin continued on the path of standing up for parents and speaking up for them and their kids, and trying to just bring back some of that accountability piece in our school districts. And, I've been up in the school board for almost 4 years now, and my reelection will be in November of this year. But it's just shocking to see what has occurred, not only the past couple weeks, but the past couple months, on the story of Centennial High School and how deep it goes, how far it goes. This is very widespread, not just in the news or on social media pages, but how deep it goes into all of the key things that were going on at that school with the 2 teachers, Haley Beck and Angela Berlocka. I have read through the police report. There's almost 200 pages. And they interviewed students from that school. And the biggest thing for me paying attention to the students is they all said in that interview, this is a pattern that they were seeing with Haley Beck. I had it in front of me because I think it's important for people to really look at that police report, read it online. It's everywhere. It's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, it's in the news. But these are some of the things from the student interviews. Haley Beck is flirty with and fixated on still being in high school. Everyone knows that. Other teachers have questioned her about it. Miss Beck has told them about the teachers questioning her. Another interview of a student. She had heard things about Centennial High School and things being swept under the rug. She does not know any specifics, but she has heard rumors. She is concerned about there being teachers that act this way.
So I'm going to interject for just a second.
Oh, yeah.
That's really hard to hear. And I wish I could say that this is an anomaly. As you know, when you and I first got on the board, we went through some rough times, and something similar occurred in my own district that you're well aware of. A teacher dating a student, and then an unfortunate suicide occurred. But I just want people to really understand. A lot of people think that it's just a one-off, or that it doesn't happen in my school, but Paradise Valley Unified School District is one of the highest socioeconomic areas in our state, and it happens there too. It doesn't just happen at title schools. It doesn't just happen in places where parents are neglecting their children. We have to stay focused, and as moms and dads, we have the right to direct the education, upbringing, health, mental health of our own children, and we don't co-parent with government-run schools. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree 100% on that. Yeah.
Well, continue.
And I think it's important to also, hold accountability with the individuals in our schools that we're sending our kids to these schools every day. And you need to be accountable for the protection of our students and our kids.
Yes.
And I think that's the biggest thing that we're looking for here.
You and I are both running for state house positions. And when I speak to constituents and likely voters, I tell them when parents send their kids to school, they expect two things: a good education with reading, writing, math, science, and even the arts and sports. And it's assumed that their kids will be safe, right?
Right.
But that is not always the case, is it?
No, it's not.
So one of the things that I want to do when you and I get elected to the state house is to ensure that people follow the law, number one, but are responsible. As you alluded to in the intro, there were signs. There were signs that, and not just signs, people were sounding the alarm. We are all mandatory reporters. So this idea of just closing your eyes, closing your ears to it because you work at the school has got to stop. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not just hearing, we go to so many conferences as school board members across Arizona. School employees go to school safety conferences, right? And every conference that I've been to, they teach about grooming patterns, red flag behaviors that you need to be aware as an adult of what to look out for. Because the predators, and this is what Haley Beck and Angela Berlocka were, they were predators. They are good at hiding it. They will lie. They will be deceitful. And so in that police report, what stands out to me the most too is the administration at the high school received an email 6 months prior to police showing up at the school, February 21st, 2025. And it was from a graduating student who was concerned about her younger sister in Haley Beck's class and what she was uncomfortable seeing with Haley Beck and the victim. And she writes on that she had observed and heard about several things, including frequent communication texts between Miss Beck and victim via Snapchat, Miss Beck giving victim a Christmas gift while not giving anything to other teammates, Miss Beck and victim being seen together in a vehicle. She says none of the kids in the class want to say anything. They are hesitant to report it due to fear of being labeled as a snitch. Those are red flags. Those are things that you look for.
Yes.
And in the police report, the principals, said that he told the police, well, I talked to Haley Beck and she denied it. That's the strangest thing to me, because that's like asking the bank robber, did you rob the bank down the street? No, I didn't. That's not how it works. And these kids need to know that if they go to the adults, the ones who are supposed to be in charge, the ones that are supposed to be the leaders, that they can know that they're going to protect them, they need to take that seriously.
Yes. Something similar has happened in my district too. Recent news, a individual was allegedly dating a student when she was 16 years old and he was in his 60s. And then investigation, but they dated 3 years allegedly. I will use that term, but come on. I have a hard time believing that no adult was clued into that. And then tragically, the individual that was alleged took his own life. I don't know what to say. I've been on this board 4 years, just like you have. And in that time, I've been aware of at least 4. And those are the ones that get to the governing board member. So one of the things that I really would like to focus on when we are elected officials in the legislature is this, in addition to mandatory reporting, that these things don't go, if you will, swept under the rug. Because what's happening is sometimes individuals are allowed to leave if there's an allegation. And I will say people are innocent until proven guilty. But if there's an allegation, we need to investigate. We need to stand strong to protect the children. Why are we protecting adults and letting them go away quietly and then popping up in another district or another state to do a similar thing? What are your thoughts on that, Heather?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there definitely needs to be stronger laws in place on that, because even before getting on the board, I learned that was, I guess they call it's a history of doing that. And it's pretty shocking. And I think the biggest thing is when we're looking at these laws of these adults and holding them accountable, and investigating and following up and making sure, we have to get back to, it's because of the kids. I've seen so much on TikTok, Instagram of these kids, students that have posted their experiences in Haley Beck's class. And they have videos, they have photos. And one of the students, she had actually commented on one of the news stories, and this stands out to me. This is what makes me be like, we need to change something because this is not working. She said, most of us students didn't speak up because we believed it wasn't our place to. As a witness of Haley Beck and Angela Berlacca's disgusting actions, I didn't say anything to our principal or the school board out of fear it would be for nothing. And in reality, it was. Our principal failed to take action against these individuals when he was told about their actions, and it shouldn't be at the fault of any of the victims because none of our voices were heard. That screams volumes. Mm-hmm. We have got to, it should not fall on the students' shoulders to be the ones to report. It is supposed to be the adults. If the students saw that much in those interviews with the police report, why did none of the adults do anything? How did the students see it, but the adults didn't? We are the responsible providers for these kids. We are supposed to be diligent. We are supposed to be their protectors. That no student should ever write that comment, in my opinion. They should not feel that way at all.
I agree.
And we have got to change these laws at the state level.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the things that I've been thinking of is there are laws in place, Heather, but I think the enforcement is part of the problem. So we really need to think about that from a perspective of being potential future legislators, right? We do have laws on the books. We have laws to protect children, but there's something missing because how can these things slip through the cracks? And you're right. Students are, I will argue, most of them are still children because not very many of them are 18 years old when they're in a K through 12 school. And we're relying on children to be the whistleblowers. There's something amiss.
Yeah, absolutely. I can remember all those trainings that I went to as a new school board member, school safety trainings with professionals, with, all these different individuals that have trained on this for so many years. They know the signs, they know the grooming patterns, and they shared that. Those 3 things mentioned in that email, those are red flags.
Yes.
That is a targeted effort by that teacher on a specific victim. That is not normal. That is something that you need to report to the police so that they can investigate.
Yes.
They can ensure they have the proper tools to do those kinds of things to make sure that there is nothing occurring that could damage these kids to this extent. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And, when you have another administrator in the police report that also warned the principal at the school, hey, Haley Beck and this victim are getting too close. I'm mind blown by this.
And Heather,
how much does it need to be?
This is not a partisan issue. This is a safety issue.
Oh.
This is about children and protecting our most vulnerable populations. And so what is your opinion on how it should not be a partisan issue, but some individuals are making it partisan?
Yeah, I don't think it should be a partisan issue. This is common sense, simple, to protect kids. And I will say that there's actually, like I said, I've been following social media everywhere. And there's a couple people that I've made comments that are saying, I don't always agree with Miss Rooks, but yeah. They're like, yeah, no, this is not okay. And so it's not a partisan issue. This is about protecting kids from people like Haley Beck and Angela Berlocka that are trying to prey on them and take advantage of them and grooming them. It's just, this should not be happening in this day and age.
Yes. Well, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And so I appreciate you telling this story because it's an important one to tell. You and I are on similar paths, and we are both strong mama bears, right? We're both school board members. My board is a little bit different than yours. I'm the only conservative on my board, but again, school boards are nonpartisan, so it doesn't really matter. We just need strong people running for positions. As I started the show with the National Day of Prayer, we need to pray for our elected officials. God could use anybody to do his good and his will, whether or not they're believers. So it's very important for our audience and our listeners and just people around the U.S. to pray for our country and our elected officials because we are in a spiritual battle. We definitely are. But I'm going to say a little bit about my race, and then I'd love to ask you how your race is going. Well, you have 2 races. You're a little bit of an overachiever. I am in my 4th year on the Paradise Valley School Board, and I am going to be finishing up my year, but I'm running for State House of Representatives in District 4. District 4 encompasses North Phoenix, the Desert Ridge area, most of Scottsdale, the town of Paradise Valley, Arcadia, and the Biltmore. And the reason I'm running for school board is, number 1, to make schools centers of academic excellence. Number 2, to promote a strong, thriving economy with lower taxes and putting more money in the pockets of Arizona. And 3, for safe communities and towns. So that what we've been talking about today kind of hits both pillars of schools and safety. So I would love to hear about your race and how it's going. Should say your races. So give us a little introduction. Tell us where you're running for the House and a little bit more about your race.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I want to say, just to clear the air, because there's a lot of people out there that are not really fans of mine, and they are trying to say that because of my race for House of Representatives for LD 28 and my reelection for school board in November, that I'm trying to use the Centennial situation for political gain. And that could not be further from the truth. I feel so bad for what has happened to those victims at Centennial and the whole situation. I am a mom. I have 3 boys and a little girl, and I cannot imagine at all. It would devastate me if it was my own child. And it's just reminding me to stay strong when I'm speaking out, and to not give up. And so I got into the race for LD 28 House of Representatives.
And tell us where LD 28 is.
Oh, yes. Yeah. LD 28 is in the northern part of Peoria. It covers far up to Lake Pleasant, believe it or not. It covers a little bit of Sun City West. It's a great area. I've actually lived here my whole life in LD 28, and everybody's just really great here. And I first wanted to get into the race because kind of started where I was 4 years ago with school board. This past year, there was a lot of in the news of our special needs community. And we have a lot of conservative families in LD 28 that were really upset with one of our Republicans in the House of Representatives and his statements that he made regarding cutting funding to the special needs community. And we're talking kids that are very vulnerable, and they need those services. They need that support to actually live. And it was just kind of heartbreaking to see that, because it reminded me of what happened to my kid with his disability back in COVID, and being forced to wear a mask and trying to fight for him to be exempt from that. And I prayed about it for months because I just thought, this is crazy to run 2 campaigns at once. There's no way. How does someone do that? And I'm I'm a mom. I'm a wife. But I knew that God was just saying, I've got you. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to let you fall. I've got you. And I just had to trust him. And so I put my hat in the ring to run. And I've always stayed true to who I am on the school board. My votes show it. The way that I speak, the way that I, a lot of people don't see the things that I do behind the scenes. I help a lot of parents. If they need help, I help them. And I don't share it publicly at board meetings because 1, it's against FERPA violations. Yes. And 2, I don't want...
There's a trust there that we have as elected officials.
Right? I don't want to break that trust. Yes. And I don't want those families to think I'm only helping them so that I can talk about it in a board meeting.
Right.
So I hold that to my heart on that. And I'm fighting for our community. Our community is great over here. Um, Working with safety, police department, fire department. I have a lot of family members that are retired officers, and working for safe schools, academics. We really need to focus on that.
Yes.
And I think the biggest thing too is our economy.
Mhm.
We're a family of six, and so I know what it's like for everybody in my area of trying to afford things and put things, in their home, food, gas, electric.
Yes.
I'm one of them. And so I think we really need to focus on our economy and cut things out of our budget that do not go to the people, that
Yes.
do not support the people. And that's one of the reasons why
I want to interject for just 1 second. I was doing a meet and greet yesterday, and that was one of my points is we have a lot of services that help a lot of individuals. And when I say cut taxes, more money in the pockets of Arizonans, what I mean is to help people, but there is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And I know that there's been a couple of legislators that have been really strong on finding the fraud. While in schools, we have more than half the state budget of Arizona in our schools, and there definitely are areas where we can trim the fat. And if we can find ways to cut not dollars in the classroom, but dollars away from the classroom and put more back in the pockets of Arizonans, we can really help a lot of people. Don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I would agree. Yes, absolutely.
Well, one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is about our kind of relationship with other board members. When you and I got elected, it was kind of an anomaly because there were several strong conservative board members that got elected. And some of us are lone wolves. I think of Anna over in Higley. I think she has help now, but I have a hard time getting motion seconded because I'm the only conservative. But I think what's important is the value of service, right? Not everybody can serve on a governing board, but everybody can help support. So you've elected us to do a job. This is not easy. It's a volunteer job. We spend lots of our own resources, our time and effort. We do not get paid to be on a school board, and we pour our hearts into it. So I would like to see a call to action for more people to show up. And I think you have a good amount of people that show up for your school board meetings. I, on the other hand, generally there's about 2 people that consistently show up. And so I would really like to see more people do that. I know it's difficult. I know it's hard to get out and these meetings are late, but it's important. This is about saving Arizona and saving America, and just a call for people to be activated. Again, we are your elected representatives, whether it's on a school board, in the legislature, in Congress. And in order for us to do the job that we need to do, we need to hear from you. We need to be present. And I want to be that for my district in LD4. That's why I've kind of taken on the role of being the voice of the people. I got that nickname on the Paradise Valley School Board, and I'm continuing that in my district. So how do you see alignment with what you're doing over in Peoria and LD28?
Yeah, so I think parents are starting to wake up, and I completely understand it's hard making these meetings because we're being parents, right? We're taking them to their games, our kids, we're being with our families, we have jobs. But I think that it's really important to research, look at what's going on, watch the meetings. If you can't make it in person, go back and watch them. I think parents really need to be engaged because this is the direction and the future of your school district. And what what goes on. I mean, it's everything. It's school calendar, it's curriculum, it's textbook, it's you know, it's the budget and where the money goes and how does it get to your kid's school to support, you know, the principal, the school nurse, the front office people, the teachers, and that's what you got to pay attention to for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think
and school finance is really complicated. So that's one thing when you and I are in the legislature that we really need to take a look at improving the way we finance our schools, because I am in Paradise Valley Unified. It's a very wealthy population in terms of property, right? Some of the individuals in my district have been in their homes for 40, 50 years. And so while they have a lot of equity in their homes, and when they might have bought their homes 40 years ago, but their property values have either doubled or tripled. And so we're being taxed on the property value, and it's kind of frustrating for those individuals. I think of our retired folks that don't have kids in the school any longer, and their homes were a certain amount, but we keep passing bonds and overrides, at least in Paradise Valley. And the people that are on these fixed incomes are really hurt by them. They want our kids to be educated in good schools, but they are on a fixed income. And so that's one of the things that I want to look at, just the haves and the have-nots of who can pass bonds and overrides. It's very interesting to me. So as you know, Heather, because we're on a board, a lot of people don't realize that when you pass a bond, it does not go to teacher salaries. It doesn't go in the classroom. Bonds are for buildings, maintenance. Do you have any comments on that and the difference between our districts and local control?
Yeah, no, I think that is important to educate what a bond is versus an M&O, because I do know that gets mixed up a lot. And I will just say kind of what we've been doing in Peoria. I guess it's never been done before. It's always been talked about, but closing schools that have under enrollment. And is it easy to close a school? Absolutely not. Like, that was a really hard vote. Like, I felt bad. I felt bad for, the families that have been around that school, but it's becoming of the building is run down and there's not enough enrollment there. And we have to start thinking differently to invest into our kids' education, and investing dollar amounts by whether you sell a school or you lease a school. If you lease a school, that can bring money back in, that can invest into your children's education in a different school that they can go to. And so we have to start thinking outside the box, because if we keep doing what we've always been doing, times are changing, things are moving forward. And when that occurs, you have to be able to keep up with what is going on and how can we change with everything that's coming on. I agree. You got to think outside the box.
I agree.
Yeah.
Paradise Valley has closed in recent years, just the last couple of years, we've closed 3 schools. And it's interesting because I keep asking the questions, why are we sending teachers out of state conferences? We've lost 8,000 students in just a few years, in the last 10 years. And our revenues are declining because as you know, revenue is average daily membership, which is the number of students we have enrolled in our schools. But our expenses keep climbing. So for me, being a fiscally responsible conservative, it's very frustrating to see that. And we cannot continue on this trajectory. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Heather. And I'm going to give you the last word. And if you want to, give a shout out or anything where people can find you on your website for your race or races, I'll let you go ahead and then I'll close it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can find me on social media. I go by the Peoria Mom. It was a nickname that people just started saying my name, and actually Pam Kirby was like, "Hey, everybody's calling you the Peoria Mom." So I took that upon, but you can check out my website, rooksforaz.com. But I will just say the biggest thing I'm going to say is thank you to everyone who has reached out, texted, called. I'm so thankful for you guys, but I appreciate it, but I want this to be about Centennial High School, the students there, the accountability piece, and looking into mandatory reporting.
Yes.
Because I want to be that voice for those kids that were afraid to speak up or afraid that if they didn't go to the adults, their voice would not be heard. So please keep emailing the school board members, keep showing support, reaching out to our district, our families, encouraging if any victims or anybody that has knowledge of it, please reach out to Peoria Police Department. They put out a tip line. It was just released in the news, a tip line. Please come forward because I want you to know that I am here. I'm going to be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not giving up. I will still be a voice for all of you. And thank you, Sandra, for having me on.
You're welcome. And I will say it's not just the Peoria Unified School District. It's happening across districts, across our state, across our nation. So parents, you need to be on guard. You cannot outsource the raising of your children to schools. And we're talking about public schools here. This can happen in any school. It's not just the public schools. It can happen in private schools and charter schools. So we just have to remain vigilant and be partners. And I will say that we have a lot of good teachers in our school districts as well. And so in order for our children to do well, parents and teachers have to partner with one another. Wouldn't you agree?
I would absolutely agree. My kids' teachers are amazing, and my kids' principal is amazing. So yes, 100%.
Well, thank you for being my guest today, Heather, and best of luck on your races for the Peoria School Board again for reelection and the State House. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the legislature when we both get elected in the general after we win our primaries.
Yes, so, thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome. So I want to thank everybody today. This is Sandra Christensen, and I am the voice of the people. I want to thank my guest today, Heather Rooks. She's a strong warrior. She is amazing, and there needs to be more people like Heather, like myself, rising up. We're getting ready to launch our candidates. Well, we've already launched, but we're getting ready to be electeds in the legislature. And so we need more good people. We need people to run for school board. We need people to run for the legislature. And it can't happen if we're in silos and we're not paying attention. So I just want to thank everybody who jumped on today. And I just appreciate you, Heather, and God bless you. And don't forget to pray for your elected officials because today is our National Day of Prayer. God bless everyone.